is a time of great change in healthcare, and it doesn't matter where you are on the globe. All hospitals are going through the same pressures, the same issues for finding efficiency, for finding better ways to work, and for finding some kind of a global vision for how we deliver better care to our patients and how we work more efficiently. Connexall is a workflow platform that supports people and tasks and disciplines across the care path. Today we're talking about the perioperative care path, but Connexall also covers all the other entry points for the patient as well. Words like workflow, care path, and efficiency all start to sound ambiguous. And because they do, I'd like to walk you through what it feels like to be in a Connexall connected hospital. Connected hospital really starts with the patient experience. So let's make up a patient. Let's say his name is John Elms. He's a 57-year-old male, and he's coming in for a left hip replacement. In all probability, maybe 60 days out, he had seen his orthopedic surgeon. He was told he needed to have the surgery. He was told the date, time, and he was given a brief kind of rundown of what he was going to need to do and prepare before surgery and what he was going to need to do after surgery. 60 days. For most of us, we need reminders on a daily basis on our smartphones to tell us what our calendar looks like in that day. So it's no wonder that the connected hospital needs to start with John's experience and some kind of a reminder to John to let him know and remind him what he needs to do to prepare for that day of surgery. So the connected hospital with Connexall starts with a call to John in his home the night before to remind him what he needs to do, what he needs to bring with him, that he needs to not eat or drink after midnight, and all those normal things that were in his packet, but he needs to be reminded of before coming into the hospital. Now, John's surgery can start on time, and all the KPIs that we know that we have to meet and live by can be upheld because John at least is being reminded of the time he needs to appear and where he needs to go and how he needs to get to that waiting area. Because John was called at home, he actually arrives in the waiting area on time. He knows what he's doing. He's brought all of his paperwork with him, all of his identification with him, all of his membership cards, anything that he needs to bring with him. He comes to the right place. And now we start the process, the second part of the process of getting John connected into the connected hospital. So the first thing that happens is John pre-registers himself, and it could be on any vehicle that you have in your hospital. It could be on a kiosk. We're going to do it on a quasi-kiosk today to show you the process. But instead of the admission clerk kind of looking around the waiting room and trying to figure out which one's John and who should I call first and who's first case of the day, this allows John to pre-register himself, and it starts the process that starts to flow from admission through the rest of the perioperative experience. It's a very simple process. John double clicks. He acknowledges that he is here, and now John, his information, which was coded and encrypted, is now given to the admission clerk, and the admission clerk knows that John Elms is now in the area, and she can call John Elms to come to the admission process, and it begins. So John is pre-registered, and pretend that I'm the admission clerk, and up on my screen will pop John's picture, his photo, so that I'm aware of what he looks like, and so I'm not just staring out into a sea of faces, but I actually know who to call personally into my office, and I can ask John Elms to come join me here. And as he joins me here in admissions, I can ask all the questions that I need to ask him. We can go through the process of all the forms he needs to sign and anything that's not complete that needs to be completed. I can also attach to him a tracking device so that we can start to follow John, and his information goes with him across the care continuum. And the other thing that I can do that also attaches to the tracking device and to our system is we can talk to John about any of his preferences for food, lighting, music, things that we could do to help make his experience here at the hospital a little more comfortable, a little bit more healing. So I acknowledge that I've seen John, I've gone through the admission process. I acknowledge that I've admitted him, And I again acknowledge that the process is complete, and this data now then goes to the pre-op area, notifying them that John is ready and they need to assign a bed or a bay. So I'm in the pre-op area, and John is still in admission or in the waiting area. But I've been notified that John has been admitted, he's gone through the whole process, and that he's waiting for me. And so what I'm going to do automatically, once I know that John has gone through the initial process, will be to assign him a bed and to call a porter who will bring John up to the pre-op area and where I will be waiting for him. So the pre-op nurse acknowledges that John has been admitted. Now the job is to assign a bed, clicks options, pretty easy, goes into the bed that's going to be assigned, bed 2, clicks OK, and acknowledges that John has been assigned to the bed.
Patient John Elms, please come to pre-op bed number 2. Patient John Elms, please come to pre-op bed number 2.
So whether you page John or you send a porter for John, whatever the preference is for your hospital, the idea is that John now knows exactly which bed he's going to, and a process has been started that was triggered by a simple touch screen. So now John is in the pre-op area, which is fabulous. I know what John looks like. All of the information has gone with him, but now I have my own set of things that I need to do. So IVs need to be started, antibiotics need to be given. So I have a whole checklist that I have to go through as a pre-op nurse. And that can be done with very simple, again, touchscreen technology supported by Connexall. So now the work of getting John ready for the OR begins. The pre-op person always has a checklist of things that have to be done, from the IVs to be started and the antibiotics to be given and all the things that they have to do. And there's a simple process within Connexall of just touching a screen, acknowledging that your checklist has been completed, and that data triggers some other events that need to happen with both the surgeon and the anesthesiologist. So once the trigger has occurred, we've already, at the beginning of this process, talked to the surgeon and to the anesthesiologist about what devices they like to be notified on. So our ability to touch the screen and call the anesthesiologist and let him know that John is ready to be seen by him. The anesthesiologist comes into the room, does all the things that he needs to do, and teaching John what to expect when he wakes up and what's going to happen in the OR. He completes his work and checks the box. The next person to see John will be the surgeon, who comes in and again preps John for what to expect during surgery and makes sure that the proper limb is marked for the left hip replacement, and again checks the box that his work is also complete, or hers. So the work is complete. John is now ready for the OR, and the OR is notified that John is ready. So we're in the operating room where the real fun begins for John, and we need to, just as we've done before, transport John from the pre-op area into the OR. So the surgery is ready to begin, and one of the most important KPIs is the acknowledgement of when a surgery starts, so that we have on-time start times. And within Connexall, we have the ability to track start and stop times. So the first thing you do is acknowledge that the surgery has begun. Surgery is complete, and we need to acknowledge this stop time of the surgery, because that will also have a waterfall effect that lets the PACU know that John is ready for transport, and a bed or a bay will be assigned to John, and also transport process begins. So I'm in the PACU, and let me just orient you to what I'm seeing on my screen, which is I'm looking at a variety of bed statuses, so I can see bays that are available, bays that have a patient in it, bays that need to be cleaned or turned over, beds that are reserved. And I am also being told that John's surgery is finishing, and I need to be able to assign a bed to John. So I acknowledge that. I go into which bed is available. I assign him Bay 3, and magically that bed is assigned to John and is reserved for him, with the notification that that bay is John's, the same process that we've been through before. Porters are notified that the bay is available and John can be brought immediately into the PACU, and everyone knows that he's coming and is prepared and knows which bay he's going into. John is recovering nicely in Bay 3 in the PACU. As he comes out of that, all of his personal preferences that he's talked to us about in admission follow him, so if it's appropriate, he gets his ginger ale, if not ice chips, sorry John. And the same process that we went through before of notifying the next unit and the whole notification process happening with bed assignment is happening again. So we are nicely informed that we know exactly where John's going, which bed he's going to. He's going to bed 502 in the med-surg unit, and all that is happening behind the scenes with simple clicks. John's ready to go home, and I don't think there's anybody on this team who is happier about that than John. But we still have a few more steps to do to make sure that he is discharged properly and all the team members who have a say in that discharge process are involved. There's a physician who needs to write the discharge notes. Nurses need to follow up and do any training for John so that he follows an after-surgery protocol. And all the other people who need to be involved in this process, including his family being notified, all of that needs to happen and can happen very easily within the Connexall system. So we're almost done. The last piece of this equation is really to make the room ready, which includes the bed being ready, that it's cleaned, that it's prepared, that it's restocked, and it's ready for the next patient. That is, again, a multi-team process. There are lots of people who need to be involved in this. There's environmental services, there's biomed to take equipment out, clean it and bring it back. There's nursing to make sure that all the supplies are back in the room. All of those things so that the next patient, the next John Elms who comes in, actually has a room that's ready for them. We have great technology that is available today. And because this last step takes another team of people who need to be coordinated to make this room ready for the next John Elms. There is great tablet technology with touchscreens that have the ability to be posted outside of a room so that as each task is completed, a box can be checked and the whole team is aware of the progress on making the room ready. So John's finally made it home. He's in the comfort of his home, and there are a few things that need to happen to complete this circle. One is John needs to be reminded of his precautions post left hip replacement. He also probably needs to be reminded of his next physician appointment, which is going to be in a few weeks. And the last thing, which is also vitally important to all of us, is a patient satisfaction survey can be done so that it completes the cycle of John's being reminded before he went into surgery through the entire process and being home of what he needs to do to make sure his recovery is just perfect. So we've come full circle, and I hope it's made some sense to you, showing you how the perioperative experience across all the departments, people and tasks and disciplines can be connected, getting rid of many of the redundancies and much of the workarounds, and showing you what the connected Connexall hospital really feels like. The connected workflow is really important, but also a major issue that we all have to follow are the key performance metrics. Key performance metrics are very specific. They need time stamping. We need to know that our on-time and throughput numbers are specific. And because Connexall is time-stamped, we have the ability to give you specific open and close times and all the other key performance metrics that you need to follow. I hope you found this presentation helpful. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you and with you about your hospital's specifics and how Connexall can help you be a connected hospital.